In the beginning, God made it all. The stars so bright, the world so small. He made the light and oceans blue and said, "My child, I'm here for you." From the start to the end, God's stories are best friend. His power, His love, His promises above. It's God's big story again. Noah built.
Ever wonder how ancient stories get repackaged for kids today? Well, that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to break down a children's Bible story and activity book using its own description to figure out what it's really offering to parents and kids. So let's dive in. Right off the bat, the book's main promise is this idea of discovering God's power, promises, and presence. But check out the language here. It's not just a book of stories, it's a journey. You know, that one word totally changes the feel. It makes it sound like an active, transformative experience for a kid, not just a passive read. So, to really get what this book is all about, here's our plan. First, we'll look at the big picture, that journey through Scripture. Then, we're going to peek inside at what you actually get in the book. After that, we'll figure out the why behind it all, see who it's actually for, and wrap up with its ultimate mission. All right, let's kick things off with that first part, the journey through Scripture. This is all about the book's big picture approach to its stories. Okay, so the book is built around this idea it calls God's big story. And what that means is it's not just a bunch of random tales. The goal is to present the entire Bible, from Genesis all the way to Revelation, as one single continuous story. It's all about creating this clear narrative of God's relationship with people. But here's the key part. It's not meant to be just a history lesson. Nope. The real goal is to make these ancient stories feel relevant to a kid's life today. It's all about taking these big ideas of guidance and love and showing a child how they might apply to, their world right now. So that's the big idea, but how do they actually pull it off? That brings us right to our second section. What's inside the book? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of the features and activities. When you open it up, it's this really interesting mix of stuff. You've got your easy-to-read story summaries, of course, with colorful pictures, but then you also get hands-on things, like coloring pages and word searches. And it also combines learning tools, like memory verses, with more reflective things like little devotional thoughts. So you can really see a clear strategy here, right? On one side, you have the learning content, the stories, the verses, and on the other, you have the interactive stuff that gets kids engaged, like coloring and puzzles. It's a classic approach, really. You combine the information with a hands-on activity to help make the lesson stick. Okay, so we know what's in the book. But why? Why these specific things? That leads us straight into our third section, the purpose behind the pages. This is all about the impact they're hoping to have on young readers. And the goal here is way bigger than just telling old stories. It's really about shaping character. The whole thing is designed to teach themes like obedience, trust, kindness, courage, all wrapped up in this central idea of God's faithfulness. These are the core values the book is trying to pass on. So all of this begs a really important question, right? What's the end game here? What does the publisher actually hope a kid gets out of this whole experience? Well, it looks like they have a pretty clear three-step path in mind. First, they want the child to just understand the big story. From there, the idea is for them to grow personally in their faith and character. And finally, the last step is being able to connect all of this to their own life. It's a pretty classic progression: knowledge, then personal growth, then real-world application. So who exactly is this whole process for? That brings us to section 4, for home and school, where we'll look at the target audience and where this book is meant to be used. And they're super specific about the age range here, kids from 4 to 10 years old. Now, that's a pretty big gap developmentally, which probably explains why you have that mix of simple stuff for the little ones and slightly more complex activities for the older kids. Everything about it, from the words they use to the art, seems tailored for that group. And it's designed to be used in a few key places. For parents to use at home, for teachers in a Sunday school class, or even as a guide for family devotion time. The idea is for it to be flexible enough to fit into all these different parts of a child's life. Okay, all of this brings us to our final section, And this one really gets to the heart of the book's philosophy. We're calling it a tool for little hearts because it's all about its ultimate mission.
This quote from the description, wow, it really says it all, doesn't it? A gentle and powerful tool to plant God's truth in little hearts, one story at a time. The words they chose are so deliberate. Gentle, powerful, plant. It really points to this nurturing, foundational approach. It's less about intense study and more about slow, steady influence.
So at the end of the day, this book isn't trying to be just another coloring book or puzzle book. It's positioning itself as a foundational resource. You know, one of the very first building blocks for a child's faith and character, using storytelling as the main tool. And so when you look at the whole thing, the entire premise of this book, and really a lot of books like it, it all boils down to one huge question. How can these ancient stories actually shape a modern kid? And that's the big challenge this book is trying to meet.